Hey, it's Clay. How's everybody doing? And today I wanted to start a new series on my channel called How to Win, and I'm going to focus on Rush and really barreling down on specific maps and tactics on those maps for being successful. And I want to start with Operation Metro on the attack side. And this map is definitely one of the more popular maps in Rush specifically. I just think it works really well on Metro. There's a lot of fast-paced action, but tactically, you got to think about it. You can't just run in there and run and gun and have a lot of success, because there are definitely some strategies involved that I've found to be really successful. So I want to start off by showing you guys some of those. So this footage that we're looking at, came from a Rush match that I was playing on today, and I had a lot of success both with getting kills and playing the objective. And from what we just saw, I want to review my opening route, because the opening route on this outer area is really important, and if you get off to a good opening, it can really get you guys off to a successful start. And if you have a bad opening, it can really set you up for an uphill battle, because this opening area is not always the most friendly, and a lot of people get mad at for spawn camping, because it does really allow for that. So you really need to make sure that you're playing aggressively right off the bat. Now, taking a look at this diagram of the first zone on Operation Metro Attack, you can see that it's pretty open and it's pretty exposed. There's not a ton of tunnels or walls. There's cover in the form of rocks and monuments and bushes and trees, but it's for the most part pretty open. Now, looking even more closely at this map, it kind of cuts down into three separate lanes. There's kind of this right side, where there's that rock wall to the right of A that leads up to those that little hill of rocks. There's a tree and like a circular area in that area as well. Then you kind of move into the middle in between B and A, and there's like a sidewalk that runs through the middle that has kind of a ridge that kind of splits the map right in half. And then you have the right side, which would be pretty much anything in line with B and all the way up down to the water. Now, if we rewatch my opening route, you can see that I head directly for that center path that kind of runs between the second and third lanes, making sure to hug the left wall because it's going to reduce your visibility, but keeping an eye out for anybody that would be, if you look at my crosshairs right now, I'm watching that tree area where there's kind of that pile of rocks behind B, so I'm scanning, and then I don't see anyone, so I jump down and go straight for the plant on B, and you'd actually be surprised how many times people are changing their class, or maybe they went AFK to get a drink, and not a lot of people have spawned in, and not a lot of people are watching B. So you would be surprised by how often you can be successful with this kind of aggressive move. And for your opening route, this is definitely the best way to go. Once you've armed the MCOM, my favorite place to defend is behind this generator here, laying prone, because it gives you a great visibility of the MCOM, but it covers you from people that are running in towards it. They're not going to see you until it's too late for them, because the majority of the traffic is going to be coming between the other side of this generator and the MCOM itself. So this is a really, really good place to be. Now, the only time that you wouldn't necessarily want to hide here is if there's anybody coming at you from behind or from your left. If you see any activity on the minimap from there, this is going to be really exposed. So then you may want to back up. There's some cement blocks a little bit further back, and some railings and some sandbags kind of around the jungle gym area. That's a really good secondary location to try to defend. Now, moving on to the A MCOM, this one is a lot more difficult to get armed, just because the defending team has a lot more cover and a lot more positions to set up a really strong defense. Now, in this match, we're able to stream in because we were able to get the B MCOM armed so quickly that it kind of flustered the enemy team. So that's a good way of kind of alleviating that pressure. But if you aren't able to get the A MCOM armed immediately after B, I definitely recommend pushing horizontally from B towards A instead of trying to push down the long open grass area kind of by the circular tree. And there's some statues and stuff there. There's so much just openness over there, and it's so easy for the defenders to pick you off from behind those rocks that I definitely recommend trying to come at A from B to try to almost do a horizontal push instead of more of a vertical push across the map. So hopefully you're able to get A taken out. Definitely you just got to really try to tough it out. Make sure you're reviving a lot. That's really huge at this stage of the game. And hopefully you're able to have some success taking A and moving on to the second area. Now moving on to the second set of MCOMs, the biggest thing I would have to say about this group is caution, especially early on when you're entering this tunnel area. That guy that I just killed, there's almost always someone there. And very occasionally in that little nook that I just looked at, there will also be bad guys. There are a lot of little places for guys to hide, and you know, just it can be a lot of trouble. And I really, really recommend not trying to get into that middle area where I just looked. There's always guys in there. It attracts guys like flies on a light. And that's just where you can really bleed out a lot of tickets. And it doesn't really do you any good. It doesn't do anybody any good. And it can really bog you down because it's almost impossible to get through there. I recommend staying left and getting up into this area where I'm at now. And this little nook, that little corner where I'm looking, is such a great place to be. It's the furthest area that the attackers have before you get into that no man's land where this guy is running right now. That kind of middle train station area right in between A and B. And that's kind of where the defenders have a big advantage. They have a lot of places that they can post up and watch these three main chokes. You know, you've got this left trains, you've got the right trains, which has a very narrow choke, and then the middle locker area. So I find that this left side is definitely the place to go for attacking. And trying to get across this area where I just got and into this area where you're on the A side is extremely important. I like to go for the A objective first. It can be difficult, but getting up in here can be really helpful. And breaking out these stalls and hiding in here, you can actually do a lot of damage because you can hear if they're disarming, and then you can wait until they get in there and try to take them out while they're disarming. So, and then once you take A, B becomes a lot easier because you can flank it from over top in that overhead passageway. So I definitely recommend going for A first. And if anything, it will actually take pressure off B because that narrow choke point back by B is so bad, and you really don't want to. Like I said, that's another place where you can really start bleeding in a lot of tickets. And unless you have a really strong medic train, you're really gonna have a hard time with it. Now this third set can also be a real pain in the butt. It's hard because the attackers are all trying to move uphill. You know, and it just can be really difficult. And there are three areas of attack. There's the front stairs, there's the back stairs that I just ran up, and then the right side. And I like to try to go up the back stairs for kind of an opening route. You know, sometimes you can catch them off guard and get a quick plant off on A, and I'm able to do that here. And then coming back to this area is extremely successful. I really, really like trying to stay on this left side. And if you're not able to get the first push up the back stairs, moving up the front stairs and then trying to move along the left side, hugging the walls, using cover, it can be really effective. And you know, in this area that I'm at in right now is really, really good. You can hide in behind this desk and you have a line of sight into the locker room where there's really, really likely to be guys. And then you can try to press this line of sight towards the left, and I'm able to get a couple of nice kills here. And I really just find that I have a lot of success. In moving up into this middle area can also be really, really good because ultimately you want to try to pinch them off towards B because B is really, really hard. It's really well defended, and you want to really try to get them out of there as best as you can. And as you can see, I started on the left, and now I'm just kind of collapsing in. And you know, this specific spot right here is so good. I would definitely recommend trying to get here as much as possible because guys will be running towards B, and they have this big, long, open area to try to cross. And this is definitely a great, you know, area to get a ton of kills as guys are running towards B, and it's really hard for them to get you out of there. Hopefully, you have a little bit of backup from A, but again, kind of like with the first set of objectives, I find it best to try to come at B from the side rather than trying to push down the long hallway vertically. So coming at it from this angle and trying to get a bit of a flank, it can be really, really effective. And as you can see, I get a lot of kills in this little stretch, just kind of patrolling this spot, keeping an eye out on anybody from this middle area as well as to our right. And you know, this is definitely my favorite place almost in the entirety of Metro because it can just be so powerful and effective. So I definitely recommend trying to get to this spot because it will really help you out when you're trying to take B. But you got to be creative. You know, there's probably going to be guys in the middle building, kind of like just to my left right now. That middle ticket booth is usually occupied, and you got to clear that out first. Oh, this guy was really bad. I turned on him. And from there, then you can start pinching things off towards B. Now, moving on to this last set of objectives, I think this one is probably the easiest to get successfully of all four. Once you're able to get out of this indoor area with the ticket booths and the tunnels and get out into the open sunlight, I find that the attackers have a really good, easy time getting the MCOMs armed. And I definitely recommend going for A first. There's really no reason not to, because then you can focus all your attention on B. Now, A is more confined because it's in that building, whereas B is definitely out in the open. And B has strongly benefits. It's very easy to take B if you have all of the buildings taken. For an opening route, I really like coming out of this middle area. I end up dying here, but, you know, coming out into the middle, you'd be surprised at how successfully you can often just run as quickly as you can into that lower building next to A, and then, you know, break the glass, heal up if you need to, and then go right into A and try to get the plant as quickly as you can. You feel really exposed, and sometimes it takes a chance, but I find that that's a lot easier to do than try to stay to the right or to the left, because you know, that is more of a narrower choke point, whereas in the middle it's pretty open and people aren't always expecting it. Now, moving on, like I said, I really like to take A first because B greatly benefits from holding these two buildings, and because then that gives you a great line of sight looking down on B. So taking A is definitely an strong objective. This is the building I was speaking of earlier. Getting into here and then taking a quick skip into A is definitely the best route as far as attacking initially with both MCOMs up. You might need to be a little bit tentative coming in here. You never know what's going to be on the inside. I do like to try to bank a grenade kind of off the wall into this back area behind these glass showcases. There's usually some defenders back here, kind of where that guy that I just killed was. So trying to throw a grenade or the M320 to clear him out is really helpful. You can see we're able to get A with very little resistance. And then from here, moving on to B becomes a lot easier because you've got, you know, probably full control of both buildings. And once you get up into the second and third floors, looking down at B, you really can be successful in clearing all the defenders, pushing them back, and then trying to take B as successfully as you can. You know, and when you're taking B, I find that this area here with the bus, and then you've got these two advertisements here to my left that I'm going to hide behind. These are a really good spot because guys will become streaming in. They're really focused on trying to get the MCOM, get to the MCOM. So staying here and trying to defend is really great because, again, it gives you a line of sight on the MCOM itself, but while giving you cover from anyone who's running in towards it. But we're able to get it really clean sweep here, take out all the objectives successfully and quickly. But I hope that these tips helped because, you know, with a couple of those MCOMs, you know, you can really be facing an uphill battle and you can get to a standstill where you're not making any progress and suddenly you're bleeding out a ton of tickets. So trying to take some alternative routes and really utilizing flanks and unique lines of sight can really help make this attack on Rush a lot more successful. So I hope you guys enjoyed, and I hope this gets you more wins.